Welcome back, everyone. Before we get started, please remember to hit the like, share, download, listen, subscribe, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. This will make sure we can keep bringing you the amazing guests and great content you have come to expect. And don't forget, go to therollradio.com to submit your questions for future guests and be automatically entered to win a free Fuji Gi. Now, let's get to the show. On today's episode, we have a true original who changed the way people train Jiu Jitsu in Brazil, bringing the discipline of Judo and the military culture into the laid-back gyms of BJJ. Mario Sperry went on to become a top competitor in Jiu Jitsu, Judo, Vale Tudo, and MMA. A Carson Gracie student who never gave up an advantage or point in 10 years of competition. Professor Sperry also became a coach to some of the biggest names and world champions in both BJJ and MMA. Here's the Roll Radio with three-time world champion, ADCC champion, three-time ADCC Superfight champion, and the 2000 NAGA Fighter of the Decade, 6th degree black belt, Mario Sperry.
Welcome to Roll Radio.
And we're live. Gary, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm under the weather again. I don't know what's going on.
Hold on. Does that mean that you're going to talk less than you normally talk?
Yes,
Oh,
probably.
boy.
I'll be quiet so you don't have to hear my my raspy, sick voice. But before we get to the show today, we're changing up the giveaway.
Yes.
Right? We've talked about this before. So we are going to announce at the end of this episode the last gi winner under the old contest, which was Do You Wash Your Belt?
Do you wash your belt? Yeah.
And so that'll be today. So be sure to listen. Look out for my email as well. You have 72 hours to respond, and that gi will be on the way. Check your spam.
Check your spam. Right. Check your spam. For some reason, we are learning with our guest today that my emails get to spam. And I don't know if there's a sign that I talk to too many people, but apparently they do. But listen, before we wrap this up, this old Do You Wash Your Belt survey that we've done, I want to quickly and now recap kind of the final results that we had here, which is very interesting in my opinion. So from our listeners, 53% listeners do wash their belts and 46% don't. So there's kind of swaying towards everybody, is more washing their belts than not. However, our guests, the old school guys, is the opposite. Yes. 63% do not. So interesting things. Judge it, like it, don't like it. It doesn't really matter. But it was an interesting point of conversation when we were doing this.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was, and most importantly, it was a lot of fun. So when it comes to the new giveaway, right, go to the website, same place, and all we do is you can ask questions of our guests. So drop a question that you want to ask our guest, and at the end of the episode, we'll actually bring up the questions that we've had from you guys, and if your question is the one that we chose, then obviously you enter, or you might be the winner, right? And if you enter, you automatically into the drawing, right? So to make sure, so just drop your questions and you in.
Yep, absolutely, and we will pick one at random to ask the guest, and then, like I said, same old. Look for that email. 72 hours to respond, and the gi is on the way. So
even if you drop the question, if you are part of the old survey, you still need to drop a new question, right?
Yes,
that's a big
absolutely.
part of it, right? So
once a month, we're going to wipe the slate clean, so you got to keep asking those.
We
questions.
made this very confusing. Oh my goodness!
Right.
Oh my goodness!
Well, let's move on then. Shall we?
Let's move on. Professor Mario Sperry in the house. Oh my goodness! Like, I am stoked about this because we already told some stories before we even start recording this. But particularly when I was, just starting my jiu-jitsu journey 20 plus years ago, you were one of the individuals that I was really, looking up to, and you were one of those figures that I think changed the way how jiu-jitsu, fighting in general, is being viewed today. I personally would consider you, I think many others would consider you a pioneer of what we see today. What are your thoughts on this? Like, does it feel that way?
Well, time passed so fast, and people keep saying that I start to believe in it. I started very early in my career, and I was very lucky to find such an outstanding coach as Carson Gracie on the beginning. And I was always very curious about training, and so yeah, we tried different things back in the day, and what you can see is the result today. What I can see today is the result of guys like me, I think, in the past that we did in the past.
I mean, it has to feel good that you contributed in such a way that what it is today, is really based on what you and handful others have achieved, right? I mean, because life is different today than it was 20, 30 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, today you have a whole industry surrounding the sport. So we have Jiu Jitsu, you have grappling, you have MMA. You have even kickboxing or Muay Thai. People talk about, especially in Brazil, people talk a lot about wrestling and Greco-Roman before we didn't even heard about those sports like a real sport to practice. And then I think we were lucky enough to be there at the right time, and it was funny because again we did because we like it. We like to brawl. We like to be strong, fast, and mean, and we did whatever we could to get stronger and again faster and.
Yeah, and we had the opportunity to talk to other individuals from your generation, if you will. Like even Professor Bustamante and a handful of others. And all of them were essentially saying what you just said, that it was not about money. It was not about fame. It was about the love and passion for the sport. And do you feel the same way?
Yes, pretty much. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have the big shows. I was caught by surprise with the MMA and the Jiu-Jitsu growth. I was, as I said at the beginning, when we start talking, I was prepared to be my economist, a business administrator or whatever. I graduated at University of Rio de Janeiro in economics. I studied at military school, but I was always training and practicing, so I never thought that I could make a living out of the sport. So yeah, we try to get the best of ourselves. In my case, I just tried to be the best I could in order to not even win tournaments, just to be the best and to see where I could go. And that's pretty much was it.
What do you think your life would look like if you didn't go this martial art route?
It's funny you to say that because may God have the soul of my dad. He passed away last year, and he was a great example of life for me. And but I always kind of he was a brigadier from the Air Force, the guy very sharp concerning discipline and honesty and moral and all the values that you can even imagine. That guy was there. So I was kind of scared because I was raised to work in a bank, to be like to run some business and to work in the corporate world. So that's why I graduated university kind of to please my dad, and I eventually worked in a part-time job in an Excel company, but I was not happy. So one day, this guy came to me and said, "Hey, Mario, maybe we can make extra money doing an MMA fight." This was back in 1995, and I was working in a part-time job and studying in the morning and training at night. And I said, "Dad, I think I'm going to give up my part-time job. I'm going to work, and I'm going to start fighting professionally. I'm going to open up my gym, and I'm going to invest my time and my life in fighting." And I was so scared when he was reading this magazine, this newspaper, and he looked at me like this, and he came back to the magazine, didn't say anything. Then he looked back to me and said, "So do you want to be a fighter?" "Yeah, I want to be a professional fighter." "Okay, you get my bless, but do me a favor, try to be the best." And start reading again. That's the only thing he said.
Right. Wow. What did you think he would say?
I really thought, "Hey, you crazy. What are you going to do with your life? There's no future on that." because there was no future on that. But back in the day, it was eventually, you have one fight here and there. But I was lucky enough to open up my gym, my jiu-jitsu gym. So the jiu-jitsu gym, I could get the money to subsidize my training, so I could survive from the sport and also keep on training and don't worry about the expenses. So and then everything started to pop up, like we're doing videos, seminars, and then we have Abu Dhabi, and then we went to Japan. So boom, 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 the things. I think the things happening because we did everything with love and so much passion, and we tried to be, like my father said, I tried to be the best. So I did everything I could.
Yeah, and I think that's just amazing that things fall in place. As a matter of fact, you talk about the DVDs, and my memory came back. I remember watching the DVDs that you shot, one of the first ones.
Yes.
It was no gi. It's just. Sorry, it's just flashback in my mind. Anyway, memories come back. But
it was really funny because the gentleman who invited me was Paul Ville. He was a guy from New York State, from Rochester in New York State. So I went there. I got there. He called me and said, "Hey, let's do a video." I said, "Oh my God, a video!" So I started negotiating with him. Say, "Listen, I cannot pay you much now, but I guarantee I want to make you famous." And you're gonna have some intangibles after that. You're gonna profit this. You know what? You're right. I will try. So I went there, and the first DVD series was not even DVD. It was VHS. Was a success, and it was record of selling at the time. And then we did more 5. And because of that, I ended up going to Abu Dhabi, and then because of Abu Dhabi, I ended up going to Pride, Japan. So he was right, and I was right too to listen to him.
Yeah, so
take a risk.
That actually is interesting, kind of pivot point, because sometimes these opportunities that we have, it's not about financial gain, but it's all about the exposure and other opportunities that might source from this. And I feel like today, a lot of individuals really want to get that instant compensation with money. They want the dollars right off the bat, even though the other things are not established yet. And do you think that's, setting yourself for success, or do you think that hard grind as you've done it, even doing things for free, quote unquote, of minimal compensation is the better route?
Well, that's a question that is kind of always kind of raised when me being a old school representative of the sport, and a lot of people start comparing things and here and there. So it's kind of hard to me to make a judgment. That can just say what happened to me. I didn't have any perspectives concerning money, concerning to make money. I just liked it to fight. I liked it to brawl. I liked it to go over my limits, and eventually I was lucky enough to find a way to get compensated to do that. And then everything kind of got together. So I was able to focus more, to invest more time, and to be more happy and secure that I could provide my family and myself, and I could do my best on the mat.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great mental state. Sometimes these dollars, if you will, really cloud our view and focus and get us distracted.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I was always, because of the way I was raised, I was always a simple man. I like simple things. I like to go to the beach, relax, stay with my family. I like my car. I like a good car, but I don't need a Ferrari, a Porsche. They're beautiful cars, but I like, a big truck that I can mess around with it a little bit and don't be worried about put on the sand. I put my boards, my dog on it. So very simple, man. So money was for me, of course, when I got married and I had my daughter, it was a little bit different. But again, it was not the first thing that I had in my mind to make money. I just tried to go there and do it.
Well, and good for you. I mean, I think that really sets shows everybody who you are and the principles of your life, right? You talked about your father being in the military, and I just, right before we start recording this, I learned that you actually have a quite heavy military history in your family.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit more, because that was a very intriguing to me. So your father definitely was in the military. What other members of your family were engaged in that?
My father was a brigadier, 3 stars from the Air Force. He was on the Pioneers in Brazil with the jets, and he was a jet pilot. My brother, he was a captain for the Air Force. Unfortunately, he passed away in action, training with in the Air Force. He passed away in 1995, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not mistaken. But my grandfather, the father of my mom, was a general, also 3 stars. He went to the Second War. So, pretty much in my youth, I was born in South Brazil, and with 2 years old, I went to Rio because my father was transferred. And I was raised, going to parades and watching my father giving speech to soldiers and pretty much it. And doing beds on the weekends, sleeping early, time to eat, time to sleep.
So it was
Yes,
very,
sir. Yeah.
it was very much a
no,
virgin.
Sir, yeah. Yes, sir. No, sir. Don't talk like that with your mom. Respect the elder, and pretty much it.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, how come it turned into economics for you and not military like the other members of the family?
That's a very good question. And my grandfather once said to me that the military, especially in Brazil, the military foundation, the military culture in Brazil, they didn't follow up the changes in society. So I was raised in Rio, on the beach, surfing, training, and the military was so strict. So when I made 18 years old, I could make a decision to go to the military, like to be an officer. I just say, what, I'm gonna do something different. I was like for 5 years of my life, waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, studying the whole day, training the whole afternoon, doing diets and yes sir, no sir, cleaning boots, uniform. So and it was a paradox because I was living in Rio, carnival, bikinis, parties, and it was a battle, everyday battle, and it was good. It was good for me because I took a direction of discipline, and I could see all the other side, the dark side of the force also. So yeah, and one of the things that I thank God to have this opportunity because I brought a lot of that culture to my training, to my professional lifestyle, because it's an individual sport, so you gotta have discipline.
I was about to ask you that. Did that help you with the training plans and training mental state?
Yeah, one of the things that I think at the beginning of my career made a lot of difference was that, you had to Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu was, it was kind of developing Rio, that culture of relax on the beach and, let's roll a little bit here. Let's warm up. No. So what I did when I realized that the standing up would be a very important factor in the competition, especially for me, because I like to be on top. So I started training judo a lot. So I started training judo with the Olympic Brazilian team. So in that scenario, what I found was just discipline. Training, warm up, drills. So I kind of, hey, wait a moment. Why those guys are so strong? Why those guys are so sharp? They're not very technical, though. They have 1 or 2, maybe 3 movements that they do really well, and that's it. Apart from that, what they do, they're very strong and fast. And then when they commit to do something, they will never give up. They will keep going. You know why? I realized right there, because they would do like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 drills at the same move for months until they almost get it perfectly. So, I kind of saw that thing. You know what? I'm going to bring this to jiu-jitsu. So I started doing that in jiu-jitsu. I started doing a lot of drills. When my partners were going, hey, let's roll a little bit here. No. I'm going to do this guard pass. 1, 2, 100, 200. And eventually I would even not train. I would just do the move once so many times that I would get tired. So that said, I start to develop my classes like that, Before Carson Gracie, it was a great school, but you get there, warm up a little bit and train, right? I said, no. Let's do a warm up, a professional warm up, meaning takedowns, blah, 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 not 10 takedowns, 100 takedowns. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, loud drills, passing the guard, back, get the back attack. And then if you have energy enough, you would train a little bit.
Did everybody think you were crazy?
Yeah, at the beginning they kind of thought about that, but the results came pretty quick, and it was pretty evident that I was much stronger than everybody else, especially in the competitions. I felt really good, and you know what? When I realized that I was doing the right thing, I kept doing it even more. So that's why at the beginning of my career in jiu-jitsu I was successful.
So, real quick, speaking of that success, Thomas and I were talking earlier, and we came across something. Is it true that before you became a black belt, you never gave up an advantage or a point in your career?
Yeah, for 10 years, Carson Gracie was the one who said that, and I didn't know exactly. So my first point scored against me was 1 year later. When I got my black belt, it was 1997. I fought in the Jiu-Jitsu World Tournament, World Championships, and I won my weight division. And I was not in a very good shape. I was training MMA, and I fought in Australia, 3 fights in the same night with no gloves, all the other side of the world, and I came back 2 months later. Was the World's Jiu-Jitsu. I said, you know what? I'm gonna fight. So I fought my weight division, and I was not very familiar with the half guard. So I fought Saulo Ribeiro in the first fight, and I beat him like 9-0 or something. And then I was really tired, but you know what? I'm gonna keep going. So I fought Gordo. And Gordo was the one who developed the half guard.
Yeah, we just had him on not too long ago.
We just talked to him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw that guy. I said, you know what? I'm gonna crush this guy. He was very thin. I look at him and I'm gonna smash this guy on the floor. Man, he pulled me guard. I was like, why this guy pull me guard? Because nobody, everybody knew that I was a good boxer. And man, when I was choking his neck, I could feel his neck cranking, and he didn't tap. All of a sudden, when I realized I was in the bottom, and he turned me over. It was my first point score against me in 10 years.
That's incredible.
Luckily, it was in the second minute. On the last minute, I kept my strength. Everybody was screaming to him. I think he got a little bit overwhelming with the pressure, because everybody were used to see me winning and I was losing, and everybody was screaming on him, come on, pass. And he kept trying to pass my guard, and I just kind of defend a little bit, saving my energy for the last moment. When I looked at the watch and it was 9 minutes, I said, it's now or never. So I could turn him over, and it was 2-2, but it was 6-0 in advantage for him. And at the last 30 seconds, I passed his guard, and the fight was over. But I couldn't come back for the final. It was a great day.
What an amazing story! I love it. This is so awesome. But today tournaments are slightly different. Like, you don't see that in the tournaments today, do you? I mean, like, I feel like it's like when I watch old school tournaments way back from you, when you got.
I remember like if it's like 10 minutes ago. I remember Carson Gracie, may God have his soul, screaming with the referee, hey, you did this, because I kind of shitted a little bit. I put my fingers inside his pants, on his legs, on the calf, and I could turn him over, and Carson Gracie was like almost inside the mat. screaming with the referee. Everybody was screaming and couldn't hear anything. It was a war. It was a nice day, man.
Yeah, I think we talked to Draculino, who was talking about that too, that the tournaments were like so much, there was so much energy in the room, and the rivalry between the teams, it was like you walked in and the room was just shaking.
Yeah, there was no AC, so it was hot, like a steam room.
Yeah, he told the story of guys had a barbecue grill next to the mats because they had no concession stand. So they were grilling food right next to the mats. He was like, is there a fire in here? What's going on? Yeah. And he also had hilarious things to say about your team back then too, and the antics that you guys would partake in back in those days.
Let's go back for a second to the military stuff, because I'm really curious about this. You said that regimented lifestyle really helped you with what you were doing in your MMA, in your professional career as a jiu-jitsu and so on, and then you bringing judo into your traditional classes. Why do you think jiu-jitsu is so casual even today? I mean, that's like you're talking about, this is 25 years ago, right? More than that, 20, 30 years ago, right? It's almost that concept is very similar to what you are talking about. Hey, life is good, peace, let's stretch out here. I'll move I'll move my arms, we'll roll a little bit, and then, life is good. And then 2 hours later, we spar a few times, but we really haven't accomplished much. And you're talking about very different training style. Why do you think jiu-jitsu is so relaxed, so casual?
Well, again, jiu-jitsu was developed in Rio. Rio is a very cool place where when you talk about, it's funny because, I'll go all over the world, right? So just yesterday, I had a call with a guy from Scotland, and he with different business, nothing concerned with martial arts. And he said, "Hey, where you come from in Brazil?" I say Rio. He goes, "Oh, Rio." So Rio is a place to have fun, to relax. You have the beaches, you have the lagoons, the mountains, the waterfall, the beautiful bikinis all over, parties. So jiu-jitsu was, I think that's why jiu-jitsu developed a lot on the other side also, because it was so a casual thing. People fell in love with it. But then again, when I think I was very lucky I had a lot of lucky to kind of find a borderline between judo and high level training, because you got to be insane to do that, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like something that you're going to pay a membership and get your ass smashed on the floor for 10,000 times a day. Nobody wants to do that, right? So, but the training is training. What I try to pass to my students even today is that the training that I did with the professional fighters is pretty much the same thing. The only difference is the intensity and how you do it, how you pursue excellency, So instead of doing like 1,000 takedowns, you do like 20, and that's it. That said, back in the day, again, we didn't in jiu-jitsu, we didn't have the culture of discipline, like everybody with the same gi and arrive on time and cut your nails and wash your gi and do the warm up and do the drilling and do the sport. No, so it was like, hey, let's do it. And I think it did some good things. It brought some good stuff for the sport, but also I think when discipline came, things got much better.
So you think that discipline in jiu-jitsu is important?
I do think discipline is important everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. Okay.
Especially in jiu-jitsu.
What do you think we're gaining by that discipline? Do you think the students actually get better or faster or improve their skill?
I truly believe that, especially the young generation, human beings in a sense, they like to be guided. They like to have they pursue somebody that they can follow, they can trust. So if they find their person and that person tells them what to do, and they believe that if they do that, they're going to get better, they're going to do it. They're going to be happy to do it. That's the thing, I think. That's what I try to do with my students. I try to show them that the medals I have, all the trophies I had, I got it because I gave up a lot of things, and I did it with passion, and I did it with commitment. I'm not saying that they're going to be UFC champions, but that drive, they can replicate with their families. They can replicate with their business. They can replicate with the treatment with other people. So that search for excellency, you got to do pretty much everywhere. So just an example, I was in my gym some other day, and the cleaning guy didn't go, right? He didn't go to the gym. He had a problem, whatever. So what I did, I cleaned up the gym myself. So how I did it, so everybody came to the gym and said, "Hey man, the gym looks good." I said, "Yeah, I did it because I did with my best abilities to do it. Because when I commit to do something, even to clean the gym, you got to do the best way as possible." So I was trying to follow what my father said and try to be the best. So try to clean the bathroom as better as you can. So that's what I call discipline. No matter what you do the best way as possible.
But why is it so easy to go the opposite direction? Gary, what's our famous quote? What's the biggest?
I thought you were going to ask why I go the opposite direction.
No. What's the biggest?
Marcio Cruz, is that
Marcio
what we're
Cruz,
talking about?
Yeah. Marcio Cruz. What did you say?
Beer, the couch, and Thursday night football are the biggest threats to your jiu-jitsu progress. And it doesn't have to be those three particular things. It could be chips, the couch, and the Bachelorette. It doesn't matter. but I think you know what I mean though. But it's easy. It is easy. Why do people take the easy way out? Because it's easy. That's the only reason.
Pretty much is it. I mean, I've been to some crossroads in my life, and I have to. Sometimes I had to make decisions. And to be very honest with you, every single time that I took the shortcut, I lost. So at some point in my life, whenever I have a doubt, whenever I had, I was insecure with which way to take, I always choose the darkest, way. The worst way, the hardest way, because, man, don't get me wrong, nothing is easy in this life. I mean, so if you can choose, just choose the hard way, and most likely it's going to be the right one.
Do you think jiu-jitsu is hard?
I think jiu-jitsu is not for everyone if you really want to do it.
So that's interesting. Let me stop you there. That's interesting because there is a lot of instructors who will say, jiu-jitsu is for everybody. And actually, right. I share the vision of jiu-jitsu is not for everybody. And I'm curious, why do you say that?
Well, because when you asked me the question, you triggered my mind, and then I thought, and I think you did it. You asked to me, right? So when you ask, jiu-jitsu for me, the way I think it is, the way I train, is not for everyone. But of course, everyone can do it. But for instance, let me try to explain to you. So back in the day, and I'm not saying this is right, all right, but that's the way I thought about jiu-jitsu. So back in the day, you were at the gym, I would arrive at the gym, and Carson Gracie was not, I was not used to go to train. I was used to go to war every day. So I was at home, man, I have to go to train now. Okay, let's go. So I would grab my stuff and I start, driving my car on the bus, whatever. I said, man, who's going to be there? And my rest, if Amoribi Teti is there, I better avoid that takedown. And Valide Ismail, I cannot allow the guy get in, So Riborio, Bustamante, they do this, they do that. So it was like I was already. So when I arrived at the gym, there was this army, like 30, 40 guys, good guys. And and of course, different people, high level ones, some guys, they're not used to train much, but they are there to help. So sometimes a guy could, hey, Mark, let's train. I say, yeah, of course, let's go. Yeah, but I have a problem with my knee here. So I'm sorry. I don't train with hurt people because I go 100% all the time. I'm training for a competition and my fighting mode is to go 100%. I can't go half of way. I cannot go 50, 70%. And that's the way I think. So that's the way I train my whole life. So when you asked me the question, I thought about the way I was used to think. And I'm not saying that's the right way. I'm just saying that's the way I thought and the way I was raised training jiu-jitsu at Carson Gracie.
Yeah. No, and listen, I remember those days when I started with Carson Sr., and this is here in the US. And this is what, a decade later or even more after you started. But I remember those days going into the academy and, he showed one technique, we did it 50, 70 times. And then we sparred for 2 hours and it was a war. It didn't matter if you went with a guy who was 250 or a guy who was 120. It didn't matter. Everybody was taking their heads off. And then everybody just crawled but down to the shower. And it was like a war zone. But I do remember those days. So I know exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Do you think that jiu-jitsu has to be that powerful with that very intense training, or things have changed since then?
No. What the beauty of what we have now is that, like you said, jiu-jitsu kind of spread in a sense that everybody has access to. I remember when I was used to go to, I studied in the military school, right? Mm-hmm. And then I went to university, and then I trained to be a champion. So I didn't have time to socialize.
Yeah.
So people in Brazil knew me, but I didn't know anyone. So I didn't go. I was not used to go out. I was not a very sociable man, right, person. But wherever I would go, people would know who I was. Most of people. So I met my wife, and my wife was a very famous woman in Brazil back in the day. She was a professional athlete, and she was a top model by that time. She was on TV, and I started going to places with her, right? So I remember when I was walking around and going to, some parties and some places where society, high society people would go, they were looking at me like a ovni or something, some strange person or some, I don't know, warrior. Everybody was looking at me like, oh my God, look at this guy, because nobody were used to do what I was used to do.
Yeah. And
not today. There was no TV. There was no cable TV. So now people are used to turn the TV and see all those great fighters, killing each other on UFC or even Pride, whatever, a lot of different shows. And then we have the movies. So people are more used to fighters much more used to see fighters around than before. So I was raised at that time when I was used to walk around and people would look at me like, oh my God, look at this guy. So that's the difference, I think, from today.
Yeah, and I agree. Jiu-Jitsu is definitely more accessible today. Like, right. I mean, you can find Jiu-Jitsu Academy almost every major city around the world, right? And some of the smaller towns, they have plenty of them too. So it's very accessible, but I think what hasn't changed over time is that jiu-jitsu is complex. It does require a lot of dedication. It does. I mean, you're talking about years of training and studying and really drilling. And it's very, I don't know if boring is the word here, but it's a lot of repetition. A lot of things where people could get easily discouraged. I mean, it takes a lot of dedication to understand and create, jiu-jitsu and really learn it.
And this message that you just said, I think is the biggest upside of jiu-jitsu those days, because it enhanced the curiosity of a lot of different people. And they end up doing jiu-jitsu, and they discover the potential of their bodies. Mm-hmm. They discover the potential what it can be done with the the biggest gift that God gave us. That's our life, our body. And I've seen all those people, throwing their health away or doing nothing, and they stay on the couch, drinking, whatever. Yes, that's good, but not every day. So the potential of your body, the potential of a body that is not used as fully as in its potential, it's a disgrace, I think. So jiu-jitsu, I think that this is the biggest upside. People have the knowledge that they can do it. They can, they can be stronger. They can be faster. They can be aggressive. And above all, they can control all of that. So that's, I think, is one of the biggest message that jiu-jitsu brought to everybody.
And I think most important part, it's fun. It's actually it's a lot of fun. I mean,
you see those guys playing tennis and stuff. When they finish, they go like they shake hand and not we living hell out of each other. Then we kiss each other, we hug each other, and that's a funny story. I would just remember funny story. I was in this place in Brazil, and it's a place where famous by the houses and boats and islands. It's called Angra dos Reis in south of Rio. It's a beautiful place. It's one of the most beautiful places I ever seen. So we were in this big house, and all those guys that they're nothing connected. They'd never seen a fighter. Back it was 96, 95, whatever, long ago. And there was those girls. Hey, what you do? Oh, you fight? I fight. So there was on TV. There was some of those old MMA Vale Tudo. One of the first ones in Brazil on TV. Said, that's what I do. Oh, but don't you think it's dangerous? No, it's not dangerous. It's it's fine. Everybody's prepared. We have doctors. The fighters are strong. Eventually you get hurt a little bit here and there, but it's not that bad. So the fight starts, man. Everybody's looking at me and the TV, right? So the fighters come to engage to each other. One shoots a double leg, the other one throws a knee. Bang! The guy falls back with his nose broken, blood all over. The guy will go shaking. They go, oh my God! Oh my God. No, I never seen such a thing.
It never happens.
Anyways, oh my God, this guy's crazy.
That's so funny. But listen, I often say to my students, jiu-jitsu is the only sport hobby activity where people come in with a smile on their face. They choke each other for an hour. They still smiling. They leave with their smile on their face while they made friends. And the best part of all of this, or the most intriguing, they actually pay to do all of this. So isn't it mind blowing? Like that doesn't exist anywhere else. And I'm going to probably make a lot of CrossFit guys or other sports upset right here, but you don't see guys, same activity or same engagement during CrossFit or golfing or other things. And it doesn't make it worse. True. It's just jiu-jitsu is unique. I think jiu-jitsu is very unique.
Yeah, for sure. I play a lot of mental games with my students, such as some other day I was like, we train a lot, and I said, okay, guys, line up. And I said, look at this, everybody, feeling okay? Yeah, we're feeling okay. Okay, so we're going to do one more round. Everybody, you know why we're going to do one more round? Because I won. And I'm the man here. This is a dictatorship. So you guys better do it. Everybody did it, bro. And so everybody, okay, line up, and that was it. So everybody was happy and smiling afterwards.
But that's the best part of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Listen, you talked about, we didn't even talk about this, but you told me before we started recording that you were a phenomenal swimmer, actually.
I was very good in swimming. I think one of the only things that...
Is this sourcing from the military, or this is sourcing from you living in Rio or in the Rio area?
Yeah, it's a bunch of things. Let's put it this way. I think one of the few things that I would say that I do really well, quite the same amount of quality of fighting, is swimming. I was a very good swimmer because I started very early, because I like it, and I did different sports concerning, connected with the water. I was raised in Rio in front of the beach, so I was always surfing, body surfing, paddling, surfing, and kayak. and I was Juno Rio.
Mhm.
Juno Rio.
I haven't been there, but I
So I was used to swim the whole beach, Leblon and Ipanema, go to Arpoador, and then come back jogging, for instance. So I would go.
How far is that?
About 5 to 6 kilometers
Each way or together?
No, just together.
Okay.
So I would go swimming 6 kilometers and come back jogging on the sand, and then surf, and then so I did water polo. I did hundreds of competitions at school with swimming. So I did a lot of scuba diving. I could go like 20 meters down under the water, no problem.
Wow.
No problem, yeah. And spear and for hours. So we were very connected with the water, and I myself in Brazil, and it was lucky. It was easier because I was very fortunate to live on the ocean. So I think that gave me a lot of strength and energy to train us also.
One of the things that swimming is, very empowering. I say a big component of swimming is breathing techniques, right? You have to really keep your heartbeat at a certain rate and continue breathing the oxygen engine, and pumping that into your body. Do you think that had impact on your performance in professional fighting because of the swimming?
For sure, yeah. One of the trainings that I was used to do, I was used to cross the pool under the water, a 50 meters pool under the water, no problem.
Does it also? I think it also helps. You don't panic, right? You understand not to panic whenever you're in trouble. Yeah, and that probably crosses over as well.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of endurance.
Yeah, somebody told me, I don't remember who it was, but somebody told me that swimming. I talked to a professional coach at some point, and they told me swimming is a managed way of drowning, essentially. Like there's no such thing as you swim on top of the water. If you guys know what I'm talking about, it's when you swim, you always go under and over, under and over, right? So it's a managed way of drowning. And if you think about in jiu-jitsu, you can relate that pretty closely because you are never ever fully in control. Yeah. Your partner is controlling some aspects, you controlling another aspects of it. So you have to manage that in and out. I always found that as a big point of reference, a connection between both of them, between swimming and jiu-jitsu.
The first fighter that I saw talking about breathing and how to breathe was Carson Gracie.
Yeah.
And he taught me a lot, just watching his videos and stuff. And the way he speaks about it, and he say, it made a lot of sense to me, and I always try to do exercises of breathing.
Yeah, and he just released a book actually that I'm almost done reading. So I encourage whoever's listening to you guys over there to get that book. It's quite interesting from the story perspective and just his philosophy on breathing. So that's phenomenal. Before we wrap this up, I want to pick your brain on the shortcuts. You touched on this a little bit, earlier. Or just a little bit ago, do you think there is actually such thing as taking shortcuts, period, in jiu-jitsu particularly? Do you think you can expedite your learning, or do you have to go through that grind of training and really long-term commitment of things when it comes to learning jiu-jitsu?
Oh, it really depends on your goals, right? What is your goal? You want to become a world champion, and if you start thinking that you're gonna get a shortcut, you're gonna drown in the middle of the way, for sure. I mean, maybe you are an outstanding talent, but I don't trust my luck on talent. I trust my luck and discipline. I always try to trust my discipline because you got a equation, right? You got an equation, and the results is success. So you can put a lot of things in this equation, and then the success is going to come. But the variable of discipline is something that you can control. Yeah. Talent you cannot control. You have talent or you don't have talent, right? Luck, I don't know. I mean, if you train more, you most likely you're going to have more luck. But so the discipline is something that you can literally control. So if you manage better your time, if you manage better your training, if you understand how your body behaves in such kind of training, if you do your homework and you you study your opponent, and then you set up a better strategy. For instance, a good example, right? When I was retired already, and they invited me to fight against Fabio Gurgel and at Abu Dhabi, right? So, man, how am I going to fight this guy? The guy is one of the legends of Jiu-Jitsu. I've been, he's a master too. I'm a master too, but, we've been such a long time without competing professionally. But, it's a competition is a competition. It doesn't matter how old you are, especially for me, I'm going to go 100%. I'm going to give everything I got. So, man, how am I going to start to train with this guy? And he doesn't have any videos fighting without the gi in Abu Dhabi. On the other hand, I have. So I was kind of really worried about it. What this guy is thinking, what's going to be his strategy? So he started doing some videos about his training. And that was the best for me. Because every single day I would come in my home and turn on my computer and watch him training. And I watch him training every single day. So he released like 10 videos. I would see the 10 videos again and again and again. So after a while, I think I was more prepared than him in his own game. So I could see what he was going to do. And so I manage my time. I focus on what to do so I could train properly. So I was more prepared in certain aspects of the fight that he was going to push me. So when he pushed me, I was there. I was prepared. So this is discipline. It's not just to go there and train like crazy, but you got to manage your time. You got to understand where to go and what to do, because God gave 24 hours to us, to everybody. Nobody has 25 hours. You have 24 hours, you got to use it the best way as possible. So that's, discipline helps you also with that. I think, again, talent is good, but discipline is everything.
We actually talked about that very recently, like last week. It's everybody comes to, we have 24 hours in a day. We have to sleep X amount of time. It's just, it is what it is. We have to eat. Most of us have jobs and families and other things. So we don't have 10 hours a day to be on the mat. Right? Most people will have hour, maybe two, few times a week, 3, maybe 4, and coming into the academy and stepping on the mat with a plan is critical, right? Sometimes we find ourselves, Gary and I were talking about this, and sometimes we come into the academy, chit-chat, you're talking to people, this and that, we stretch out here, we do this, and hour pass by, and like, now we're going to spar. And we haven't done anything.
Even in that round starts, and you slap hands, and you're like, what's going on? Before you actually grab a collar, and then you've got 30 seconds have gone by in that round before you've actually even touched each other.
How do you motivate students so they are focused, they stay sharp, they don't waste time? Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Again, we have classes are 1 hour, right? So when you talk about students, I have a variety of students. Right now, I'm taking care of. They're not professional fighters. They're regular students. But it's pretty much the same thing. So I try to pass them. First of all, it's not the technique itself, but the will to get better. The will of doing something, again, in the best way as possible. And doing so, you're going to get better in everything. Yeah. So, I'm a good example. I have this student of mine, and we've been saying this to this person. Hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. And he was competing in shooting with pistols, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, Mario, I went to my competition, and I was so relaxed. All the shots and people, talking loud, and I was the best competition ever. And because of the jiu-jitsu, because of the things you told me, to focus, what to do, to relax, and then one of the things you said, you gotta understand that you gotta have the clean conscience that you did everything as possible to get the best condition that you could get in that moment. So you're gonna be relaxed. Whatever happens, you're gonna be with a clean conscience that you did everything you could to achieve that goal. And so he said, I was relaxed because of jiu-jitsu. And that's what I think. So what I try to tell my students that jiu-jitsu is a tool for your life. It's not to make you tough. It's not to make you, a great athlete, but, just to make you a better person. And how are you going to achieve that? Just trying to do your best. Try to pay attention, to focus. Of course, there is a physical element that it's not every activity that you're gonna literally think that you're gonna die, right? Mm-hmm. You get so exhausted, and that's a thing. That's a feeling is very important, I think, for human beings, because we kind of take a time machine back, and we come back to the cave time where you had to be worried about the lion, you had to be worried about some beast that can come in your cave and kill your family. You have to be worried about getting food for your family. It's not open the fridge, right? We don't have more that anxiety of survival. So I think jiu-jitsu brings this a little bit. So you're gonna, that guy's tough. It's gonna be a problem. So I'm gonna defend myself the best way as possible physically, and eventually I'm gonna get so tired, so emotionally also tired that I'm gonna be the closest feeling of dying that I felt in my entire life. So I think that feeling, it kind of makes you a little bit more alive, and that's what jiu-jitsu brings to the table as well, with the discipline and everything.
Some people say that jiu-jitsu is learning how to be comfortable in uncomfortable positions. Would you agree with that?
That's my saying. You gotta enjoy to be comfortable on the uncomfortable. Yeah. So that's the goal. So that's what I say. I try to say at the gym. So when you see the storm coming, you don't run away. You run towards the storm. You face it and try to be happy on the uncomfortable zone.
I mean, that's phenomenal. I love it. Yeah. Listen, before we almost had this at an hour, so just out of respect for time.
Is that an hour already?
Already, yeah, just about.
It always flies by when we're having fun.
Yeah.
But listen, before we end this, at the end of every conversation, we have 5 simple questions. And Gary's going to take a lead on this. But, first thing that comes to your mind, kind of, it always generates interesting end to the whole conversation. Some of them are funny. Some of them are less funny, but let's see, if you don't mind, let's see where this is going to go.
Yeah. So the first one, as always, is what was it like the first time you stepped on the mat?
Where was your mind? We didn't even talk about how you started jiu-jitsu.
Oh, I started as a kid, and then I really start in my youth, around 15, 16, training hard for competition was when I stepped in Carson Gracie.
Yeah.
And I saw all those lions, and I said, man, I want to be like those guys. I want to be fearless like those guys. And I saw, when I got in, I felt the smell of the gym. And so I saw all those guys with those geese dirty, ripped off, and looking mean with their ears. And they look at me like, who's this kid? And I was like, oh my God, that's my place.
That's great.
Listen, so I was looking up to you. I looked up to you in my beginnings. Who did you look up to?
Oh, Pinduca, Cássio Cardoso, Buchaú, Rosado, Carson Gracie himself, many others.
Those are big names.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2, what has been your most rewarding achievement?
The biggest thing you've done.
So many outstanding moments.
Pick one.
Igor Vovchanching, when I fought in Pride. He was one of the greatest of all time, and that time, and non-Brazilians, non-jiu-jitsu fighters could beat him. It was fun. It was an amazing moment of my life. Not the fight itself, was before, because I was supposed to go to Pride and fight, and my fight was postponed 3 times. And I was getting ready for it. It was my first fight in Pride, right? So, and then, the guy got hurt, or some other guy couldn't do, whatever. So on the 3rd time, I was getting Brazilian top team. I look at my phone, oh, Japan. So hey, hello, hey Mario, hey, I have some bad news, some good news. So what's the bad news? No, the guy who you're gonna fight, he won't fight you anymore. He got hurt, but we got another fighter for you. That's the good news. Oh, really? Who is this guy? That was Igor Vovchanchyn. I said, whoa.
I thought you said good news.
There's a good news?
No, and one of the good news also is that if you fight him and if you win, you're going to make the double. Your purse is going to be double. And I was like, okay, I fight him. So the funny part was that, everybody, hey, Mario, I've heard you're going to fight in Pride. Yeah, I'm going to fight my first fight in Pride. Yeah, who's going to fight? Man, good. Who are you going to fight against with? I said, I'm going to fight Igor Vovchanchyn.
Silence.
Okay, it's going to be a good fight. And, the guy had outstanding reputation to fight against grapplers. He was short and strong and fast with his hands. And I think it was the biggest fight in my career in MMA.
Have you,
in MMA.
were you ever nervous before the fight?
Well, I was nervous. That's the beauty of it, to get nervous. If you don't get nervous, there's no fun. I mean, I was nervous for sure.
Keeps you sharp,
I mean,
doesn't it?
that's what keep me going is to have the feeling of, whenever I go surfing in Indonesia and I go on all those big waves, like 15, 10, 12 feet waves. And why I do that? Because I fear it. I respect it. So I try to overcome this feeling, and that's great. When it works, it's good.
Speaking of that, as I was reading Hickson's book, he talks about surfing quite a lot, and he actually says that you can't fight and I've never surfed in my life. I don't know anything about surfing, but he talks about you can't fight the ocean. You will always lose. But what you can do is you can adapt to the waves. You can ride the wave. You can really read and feel what is happening. It was such a mind-opening moment for me as I was reading this. Anyway, I really like that book. So
he's a great man. He's a great master, and his words are perfectly put.
All right. Have you ever wanted to quit?
Oh.
If I ever want to quit, yeah, many times, man. Many times I tried. I thought about quitting, but
what kept you coming back?
Yeah, just the feeling to know that I would regret sometime. And I just put myself in maybe 50 years, 60, 70 years later, in a bed dying. And when all this, everything comes to your mind, that movie comes to your mind, I said, I thought, when you're going to be dying in your bed, old man, you're going to look back and you're going to regret that.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm going to do it. At least I'm going to try.
Good for you.
Nice.
That's awesome. Let me spin this different way. Was there ever a fight that you were about to enter where you were like, oh, crap, this is just not going to be good?
Yeah, like Vovchanchyn was one of those fights. Yeah. To be honest, I took anti-inflammatory before the fight. Because
just in case.
Just I better be prepared because I'm gonna get all broken here.
Yeah.
I was confident, but I was like, man, it's gonna be a war. And nothing happened to me. I took him down in 2 minutes and a half. I submitted him. So again, discipline.
Discipline. All right. Describe your feelings when you received your black belt.
Yeah, it was all my belts, they were funny, man. They were very funny. I have to be very careful when I say that because, especially here in America, it's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. It's a great thing. But for me, it was a great thing as well. But the way it happened was so natural. Mm-hmm. All my fights, my belts, all of them. But I can tell you about the black belt. My black belt, I got in December 1995. The first world tournament was February 1996. So Carson Gracie was doing his team in order to, he was choosing, oh, you're going to fight here, you're going to fight there, in order to make the points to get the trophy or the academy champion, right? Mm-hmm. They say, hey, man, we need a guy here in a super heavy on the black belt. We don't have it. He look at me, hey, Mario, how heavy are you? I'm 100 kilos, 101. All right. Okay, you're going to fight in the black belt.
You just got promoted.
Yep. There you go.
And that was it. That's why. That's the way I got my black belt.
That's funny. But that's how he was. He was very. He was very casual about these things. Like I even remember a decade later after you and when I was starting, like it wasn't such a big deal about these belts. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
you blue belt. You black.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I have to change this in my life because people like it. It's important.
Yeah.
But I have, because time passed by and I kind of forget. Say, hey, belt here. So people like it. The people enjoy it. And I didn't, in a way, I feel sorry for myself because I didn't have that emotion, that thing, that body. And I look back and I say, oh my God, I don't have that moment recorded, for instance.
Yeah. But at the same time, now you have the opportunity to do this with your students.
Yeah, exactly. But again, was that's the best way to describe that.
It's so like Carson. Oh.
Yeah, I forget. I think it was it Laborio who said, he said to him, wear your black belt tomorrow. Yeah. Or go get one and you can wear it tomorrow. Something like that, So casual, so different.
I remember when Laborio got his black belt.
Oh, yeah?
I was like that.
Just like nothing. That's wonderful.
The guy showed up. The guy showed up in the gym with the black belt. Say, hey, man, what? You got black? Yeah, I got my black belt. Okay.
All right.
I love it.
Speaking of the belt, the last question is: do you wash your belt?
No.
Nope. I knew it.
Nope.
That one I could have guessed.
Old school. I love it. Professor, thank you for being here. Thank you for talking to us and really sharing some of these funny stories. And where can people find you? If anybody ever wants to connect with you, you're on social media. What's the easiest way to get in touch with you?
You can find me on Instagram that I've been going a lot. So Mario Sperry Instagram or Mario Sperry Jiu Jitsu. That's the Instagram of my gym. I'm living right now in Miami, where I have my gym nearby downtown Miami. So you have also my website, mariosperry.com. Whenever you are in Miami, you like to train a little jiu-jitsu, you can come pass by my gym and try your luck.
I was about to say I'm going to stop by, but I don't know about that now.
I will try to take you down and keep you on the bottom.
I love it. Thanks for being here again. Thanks for sharing these stories. It was amazing talking to you. In particular for me, this was like, meeting my own hero. I'm telling you, I'm serious.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
There's so many videos that I used to watch of you, and your generation really inspired me. Honestly, without you, I wouldn't be doing jiu-jitsu for a living, and now, I'm able to pass that on to, this guy.
Thank you. I guess it's your fault. This is all your fault.
Again, it's a great pleasure to talk about jiu-jitsu, one of the things that I like to do most in my life. Everything I got is because of the jiu-jitsu, the sport. So it's a pleasure. Whenever you need, we could be here talking about histories and moments forever. And again, thank you very much. Appreciate your honesty about your feelings to myself and my career and what I represent to you. And for me, it's a great honor to know that I could help you in somehow. And whatever you guys need, it's going to be a pleasure to get another interview if is that the case.
Yeah, for
Sweet.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Let's wrap this up for today, and we'll see you guys around.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Whoop. All right, this is the last time that we do the Do You Wash Your Belt giveaway. We do have the new giveaway going on. All you have to do is go to therollradio.com and leave a question for a future guest. If you are picked from those questions, you will win the Fuji Gi. But today, I already went to the random number generator, and the number for today was 87, and the winner is Sam. And if your email, Sam, ends in hm@gmail.com, you are the lucky winner. All you have to do is, once you receive your email from me, confirm within 72 hours, give us all the information that we request, and Fuji will make sure that that gi is on its way to you. Everyone, thanks for participating. Remember, therollradio.com. Leave a question, automatically enrolled. We do wipe the slate clean after every winner, and that means that you have a higher percentage to win, and you need to go back every month with a question. So, therollradio.com, leave a question for a future guest, and maybe you can be like Sam and have a free Fuji gi. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.